right now the crowds outside the State House are a little bit smaller than they were earlier, but they are in a smaller area, and that's because law enforcement is setting up these fences. People have been trying to get in and out of here all night, but with floodwaters more than a foot deep is very hard. We do not recommend it. Now the first team focuses on the fans and everything that might happen up in the stands. That one is not as easy to notice though as this second team, which focuses down here on the track and anything that may happen. Well, following last night's deadly shooting here in Charleston, we've seen plenty of prayer vigils and church services pop up all around town. Just a few hours ago, one church did something a little different. It involved a short walk and a lot of reflection. Well, Georgetown County leaders briefed everyone a little bit earlier saying this is not over, but there are plenty of resources in place. In fact, in the past couple of days, more than 300 rescues have happened around the county. Well, NASCAR and the Confederate flag are two things that have gone hand in hand for many decades, but this year that may not be the case. Now the track is hoping that instead of having an infield full of rebel flags, it'll see more of a different kind of red, white, and blue. Right now it's a very different scene here on the State House grounds, but earlier it was a whirlwind of emotions. People from both sides of the argument were here, and they weren't afraid of sharing their opinions. What started as joy and elation for many today turned into a realization of something much bigger.
Times are changing. Like I said, my boyfriend's white, my daughter's mixed. Times are changing. So, I mean, like, we need to change with it.
That change is something not everyone sees necessary. Sammy Evans says bringing down that symbol of his heritage won't unite the people of South Carolina.
When the flag comes down, a lot of people think that we're going to wake up the next morning and everybody's going to love everybody, but they're not.
But once the news broke that flag was officially coming down,
we just overcame!
People did come together and celebrate what they see as much needed progress.
Hey, take it down. No one should have to walk through the world and walk by a symbol of slavery and hatred ever. Goodbye.
Robin Hipp says that flag does not represent heritage and does not represent South Carolina. What it can now represent is history and progress.
What it's going to do is tell bigots that this is not their state of
One state, one flag!
that it belongs to all of us.
One state, one flag!
With just about every resource available, towns around Georgetown County are in decision mode. Leave now or wait for the flooding to get worse. On the north side of the Black River,
you never think that this could happen to you.
One community doesn't even have a choice.
That house over there with that green shop, that's my shed and that's my house right there.
Bryant Leday has lived in this home in Chopee for more than 7 years.
This is worse than anything.
He got married here, raised his kid here, and now, like many others, has to find a new home for the time being.
If it wasn't for that little boat, I would have had to tote it. Tote my wife and my kid and everybody out of there.
Leday says what's making this situation harder for everyone is some people are now preying on their misfortune.
People coming up here with boats and spotlights shining around. You know, that's an eerie feeling when you lose everything you got and then you got people coming in here trying to take what's left.
Leday says at this point, though, worrying would be a waste of time.
You got to keep living.
Instead, he hopes folks will join together.
This can't stop you or slow you down.
And get through this as a community.
It's not about how hard you get knocked down, it's how you get back up after you get knocked down.
As life seems to move 1,000,000 miles an hour, sometimes there's no time to look back. But one day every year,
pretty much all day long,
a man with a flag
from sunrise to sunset
makes you do just that.
It renews my faith in America. Kind of heals everybody. Everybody feels good about it.
7 years ago, this man decided to take his flag to this bridge over Highway 31. He says he wanted to spend just a few hours paying respect to those lost.
And the response was so great, and people honking their horns and waving and taking pride in being a part of it. It's turned into a full day event.
Now, 7 years later, you'll find him in the exact same place, flag in hand and heart on his sleeve.
Fires you up all day. Gets the blood boiling. makes you proud to be here.
As each car passes by, he gets his own kind of salute back. Sometimes people even drop by for a more personal thank you.
The only thing I brought was sunscreen today, and everything else is folks drop by and make sure they're taking care of you.
He says what means the most, though, is when the people he thanks do the same back to him.
Some of the greatest is when you get the World War II vets come out and they'll come up and shake your hand, a tear in their eye, and it's goosebumps, you know.
By now, you're probably wondering who this roadside patriot is. However, he has too much respect for those who gave their lives.
That's the best thing. That's what America's about.
To focus on himself.
It's not important. What's important is the message.